welcome back to the warm up, everybody. I'm your host, John.
And I am your host, Caitlin.
All right, and for today's episode, we're just gonna do like outlining a couple things that happened around the NBA, such as the trade between the Bulls and the Thunder. We'll also look at some other teams extending their current players based on the new CBA rules that allows you to extend your own players, and then just some other storylines around the league.
Yes, so the first story we're going to jump into is the Bulls trade with Alex Caruso to the Thunder, which was in exchange for Josh Giddey. So what are your thoughts on this? Because there were no picks that were involved, and it just seems like a very interesting trade.
So, as a Laker fan who thinks Alex Caruso never should have left
We
the
love
Lakers,
him.
and Genie Bus got cheap and didn't want to pay him, and I don't know. This trade was so interesting because it's from like a broad scope of things. Like Caruso is one of the top three perimeter defenders in the league. He's
Mhm.
coming off from making all NBA or all defense second
Yeah.
team, which he probably would have made first team if they didn't do positionless and just gave it all centers, right?
Mhm.
Then we look at the Thunder side of things with Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey got benched in the playoffs. Teams were putting their centers on him, leaving him open on purpose.
Yeah.
So it just seemed like the peak of Alex Caruso and like the lowest of Josh Giddey. And for the Bulls, who've gotten multiple offers for Alex Caruso over the last 2 years, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, it was reported a top 10 pick was offered for him. But at the trade deadline, two first round picks were offered for Caruso. And to make a trade with the team that is known around the NBA that has the most picks in NBA history almost, that has every single pick you can, a bazillion picks, that they didn't get one of those picks from them was just the most mind-boggling, frustrating thing I've seen.
It just makes it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand what the benefit really was for the. I mean, I get,
They got younger with Josh Giddey.
right, which is great and all, but I feel like they could have gotten way more.
They could have at
for
least got
Alex.
two picks from the Thunder, I think.
And the fact that they didn't even, I mean, they had other offers and stuff similar, getting new picks. They could get more new younger players, but they didn't. It's just so interesting to me.
And it was reported that they like Josh Giddey, and they're saying Josh Giddey could be the Lonzo Ball replacement, which is kind of sad because Lonzo is now, it's reported he will play this season. He hasn't played in 2 years because of injury. It looks like he is going to play this season. And then this is getting Josh Giddey is replacing Lonzo. So
Interesting.
it is interesting. I mean, from the Thunder, I mean, you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you have Jalen Williams, who's a great defender. You get Alex Caruso, you have Lou Dort and Chet Holmgren, you have Cason Wallace off the bench. I mean, they have perimeter defense everywhere. Like if they get the proper center, and they have $30 million in cap space this summer, they could mess around, get a center, get a wing player, and that's your championship favorite.
Yeah.
Because I would pick them over. I don't know if I'd pick them over Boston, but I'd have them being the favorites in the West. They were the number one seed this year without all these acquisitions that could happen. I mean, for them to get Caruso is just major. And I'm just curious to see what they do with him. And you can do so many things because he opens up your offense even more because he's not like Josh Giddey where teams are going to leave him open. They'll probably end up still putting centers on him, but Alex Caruso shot 41% from 3.
Mhm.
He's not no slouch from shooting the ball. So
yeah, all I know is that I love Caruso, and if you're a Bulls fan, you're lucky to watch him play for your team. I think he's a great player.
It's Thunder now.
Oh.
Because the Thunder got
yeah. Well, if you're a Thunder fan, then lucky you. Okay. So we already talked about that. Okay, so next topic is Malik Monk and
Pascal Siakam.
Pascal Siakam extended with their team. So who do they play for?
Yeah, so Malik Monk re-signed with the Sacramento Kings. I thought was huge in the fact that a lot of people thought, including myself, that he would go to Orlando. Orlando would uh, offer a lot of money, but they technically can't talk to Orlando because it's not the start of free agency. So it's good for Sacramento that they got Malik Monk and they tied him down for long term, and he's happy being there because if he would have left, then they don't have like he's not a replaceable guy like that. They couldn't just replace him. So
Yeah.
it was huge for Sacramento to get that done. Good for Malik Monk. He stays with his college teammate Darren Fox, and it'll be interesting to see what else they can do because I know they want to trade Kevin Herter and Harrison Barnes, two of their starters now, for some more starters. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do there with that. And then for Siakam, he plays with Indiana Pacers. I mean, they just went to the conference finals and he got there like 4 months ago. So you give him a whole year of training camp with the Pacers. I expect them to make a move or two to increase their chances, but good for them. I mean, we knew Siakam was gonna happen from that trade. You don't trade someone like that unless you get some type of confirmation that they'll probably stay. So good for them. And this is like part of the new CBA where you get to see teams talk to their own free agents early, and so they kind of get done their free agency done a little bit earlier with their own. And so now going into when the start of free agency, that they really could just focus on the other people to bring in instead of worrying about your own.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so then we can also talk about the fact that the Bucks are open to getting younger players and just having a younger team overall. And they might look into trading Brooke Lopez.
Yeah, so I found this report pretty interesting because they could have let Brooke Lopez walk last year because Houston offered him a lot of money. So it's kind of interesting that they might be looking to trade him. I think it'll be hard to get a trade for him because with the new CBA, you can't aggregate with other second apron teams unless they have the exact same salary. So it'll be like, yeah, they should trade Brooke Lopez. I think Giannis should play the five. That's just me, but they've always wanted a center next to him. But I don't know if you're gonna find like a shooting center like Brooke Lopez was. So if they do end up trading Brooke Lopez, I do think Giannis. You could see Giannis going to the five. Brooke Lopez, he's 36 years old. He kind of had a down year defensively, down year shooting the ball. What what type of team is looking to get him?
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what the Bucks could do if they could even trade him at all because he's an aging role player.
Right.
So I don't know where they could go with that.
So do you think that that's what kind of changed since when he was offered to go to the Houston and the Bucks wanted to keep him?
Yeah, I think the Bucks wanted to keep him, but they also didn't know they were going to get Dame. So I think it's one of those things. Now you could probably live with Giannis at the five now that you have Dame. So it's not entirely their fault because they didn't know they had to get Dame at the time. But I think getting younger is a key piece because when I look around, you have like Jay Crowder, you have Middleton, both those players are hurt. You have a bunch of they need like younger experienced players. They don't need younger non-experienced players.
Okay, like rookies.
Yeah, they need like younger vets, if that makes any sense. Like, because you could tell, like, even with some of their players, like they knew their role, but they weren't like Doc Rivers wasn't 100% playing them in the playoff, and they got hurt and all that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the Bucks could do this offseason because, I mean, you don't make a Damian Lillard trade to pair him with Giannis just to get hurt and get bounced in the first round. You make that trade to win the championship. So it'll be interesting to see what moves they could do around because they don't have a lot. They have a first pick this year's draft. I wonder if they trade it or if they are like, okay, this is our last draft pick for like 10 years. Do we try to develop this guy or anything like that.
Well, it'll be interesting to see over these next couple of months what teams do to improve their roster.
Yep.
All right. So I think that is kind of it for the topics of discussion for today's episode. So thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe, do all those things. And we will see you on our next episode. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.